Hey everyone, welcome back to another Honkai Star Rail video. We're going to discuss again. This time the topic of discussion is the two main things that Star Rail devs revealed in their dev radio post. The first being that they will reorganize the story of Amphoreus. They will, rework it. And second, which is honestly much more exciting than the story part, is that they're buffing old characters. Now, let's talk about the first part, then I'll get to the buffing part. They're gonna rework the entire Amphoreus story to make it digestible, to make it easy to experience, to make it more immersive in nature, which is all good. I really like that. They mentioned in their dev radio post that, and they understood that players were feeling burnt out on doing a lot of puzzles, on reading through a lot of lore that could have been told in a better way, or could have been been optional, because there are certain pieces of lore that just don't make any sense. Like you do not need to know them to know the main plot of Amphoreus. So one of the few changes that I think they said that they will be implementing in version 3.2 is that they are going to start making lore optional. So you would have an option to just ignore everything. So it's basically like it's not a skip button, but it's something very similar, like a beta version of a skip button, which is it's something. I mean, Honkai has this strange hatred towards skip buttons. I mean, Genshin doesn't have it, Star Rail doesn't have it, ZZZ has it, but with the non-voiced dialogue, it's not there. So yeah, they just do not like skips in general. So with that being said, Star Rail does acknowledge the fact that the story was too much, so they will be reworking the dialogue structure, which is nice. I mean, it doesn't make any much difference to me, because when I will be recording the entire walkthroughs and all, I will be going through all the dialogue options, so it's not much of a difference for me. But for players who do not want to invest themselves into the lore of the world, it's a nice feature for them. Secondly, from the restructuring plot and all, they understood that the puzzles were a little too much, and the enemies scattered around in the overworld were also a little too much. So they will be downplaying that. Now, here's some things that I do not I'm not fond of, is that they're downplaying the puzzles, which is kind of sad, because that's the only gameplay that you get in Star Rail when you're doing a main story, because the fights being turn based kind of sucks it out. It sucks out the immersion whenever you have a fight, unless it a conversation directly leads into a fight. That makes sense, but otherwise it's always immersion breaking. And if you have Acheron, then fights are meaningless in the overworld. I mean, I did the entire Amphoreus quest with an Acheron team, and you can see my video. I've literally just Acheron skilled every enemy that I encountered, so I had only a few fights in the entire main story. So it's like, I wish we had something like like FGO has, where dialogues lead directly into fights, so it feels immersive in nature. And I feel that maybe the puzzles should be better placed. You shouldn't have 4 puzzles in a row. If you want to keep 4 puzzles, keep 1 puzzle, keep a little bit of dialogue, add a few combat sections, and then do another puzzle, so that that will increase the cohesiveness and make the story more enjoyable, because you're not doing stuff in a row. So I think I wish they would restructure that part instead of making everything simpler and easier. But we'll see whatever they're gonna do in 3.2, because remember 3.2, because 3.1 is not getting these updates. 3.1 is set in stone. Oh, we're gonna get another patch of 3.0-ish stuff. Oh my god. Alright, and the final thing that they acknowledged was the black screens, which I'm glad, because the black screens, it wasn't much in the main story, but when you go into the side story, when you go into the side quest and doing random stuff, there are a lot of black screens, and in Amphoreus it feels a lot. And especially when with the nature of Amphoreus is that they've tried to make it like an open world game. The map is huge compared to previous maps. It feels like, mini Genshin sometimes. So they've tried to make it expansive, but with that expansion, I mean, you lack basic stuff. Your speed is restricted. You cannot jump in Star Rail. So it's those problems, like, make certain things like moving through the entire map kind of hard, kind of difficult, kind of boring. Even though they've added those big balloons and all that increase your speed and all, but it's stupid. It just runs out every 2 minutes or so. So bad black screens, it just becomes more obvious when you're playing in an expansive world and you see things just getting written on the screen. So I'm glad that they will try to remove that, and I hope that we can see more of this world that they've created. One thing that they did not mention was the presentation, the storytelling, which was my biggest concern, which is my biggest criticism of the Amphoreus story quest, is that there wasn't enough cutscenes, pre-rendered cutscenes, and there wasn't enough unique animations to make me interested in the dialogue. Like like Genshin's, let's take Genshin's Lantern Ride event. We just had that, and it was phenomenal. We had the entire Natlan arc conquest, and we've had so many different animations for models, for their different emotions, different reactions, and it just feels lively. Even if the story is completely boring, it just feels lively in nature. Compare that to Star Rail, where the story can be exceptionally good, but if the characters are like statues, it just ruins everything. So they did not address the camera issues, the presentation, the storytelling. I hope it's a silent update, like like a silent upgrade, where they just mention the big points, and silently they are taking that into account as well. And in 3.2 and upwards, we will see different changes in animations, in models, in expressions and all. So that's part 1 of the dev post. Part 2, which is the more important part, is buffing old characters. They realize, they acknowledge that certain units have become power crept. Certain units are terrible to use these days, especially the 1.0, 1.x era characters, Zile, Zile, Locha, Jingliu, Blade, then there's Dr. Ratio, and you get the point, right? So certain characters just don't feel very good to play these days. You won't even see teams of them anymore online. I don't use them. I have an E1 Zile on my HSR account, but I don't use her at all. And that just shows how terrible they've been with the HP inflation and all. So they will be buffing old characters, and once again, it's not external buffs. I did read into this, and people are saying that on the Chinese dev post, they explicitly mention that these kind of buffs will be internal, like it will be to the character themselves. It will not be external, like they're not going to get another support, or they're not going to get another light cone or new relic set or something like that. It will be buffing their skills, their kits, maybe their multipliers. So if it's something like that, I truly hope that it will make every character usable, especially the old characters. Silver Wolf, how could I forget her? Silver Wolf sucks. Silver Wolf is useless. She doesn't even work well with Acheron. I mean, why? Welt is, I don't know, man. Welt just got worse and worse. Yanqing, Jeopard, Bailu. I mean, all these characters, yeah, they're cheap alternatives, but they need to be, they're 5-star characters. And in a turn-based game, you need to have every character provide something. Even if it's a very rare niche, they have to provide something, which every new character just has all those 1.0 character talents and effects, and they just have more than that. So it was getting too much. So I'm glad that the Star Rail devs acknowledge that power creeping is happening, and they are buffing old characters. But we'll see. We'll see how they're gonna buff, because I, like, personal advice, but do not keep high expectations. Like, I'm not keeping any expectations at all with their buffs and all, because we don't know until we see it. I mean, Zile's resurgence should be counted as a follow-up attack. I don't know why that wasn't the case when the game launched. And there are certain cases like Silverwool's ultimate single target, it just sucks. Silverwool's skill, when she implants a weakness, and if she implants another type of weakness, the old weakness gets removed. Jeopard doesn't have effective resistance or effect resistance or something like that. Bailu doesn't have cleanse, debuff, even though she's a healer. Like, she's the healer. She is Lawfu's, I don't know, one of the strongest healers apart from Lingsha, but she doesn't have a cleanse. Not even on a burst. Or ultimate, I mean. So it's just, certain characters really need these buffs. Blade. I saw a video one day that Blade was tickling an elite enemy. So, yeah. So these two things are introduced, they were not introduced, they were acknowledged by the Star Rail devs, and they are working on fixes on them. I expect to see some of them in version 3.2, so maybe in March or early April, when we get the 3.2 live stream, we will see something relating to the story improvements and the buffs that the characters are going to get. But until then, I wouldn't keep my hopes up, especially not for 3.1. We just gotta wait it out another patch or so until we start to see the community's requests and all in the game. So this is it. These are the two big things that are happening in Star Rail right now, and I don't know how good they will be. I don't know, honestly, I do not know. But hope is one thing that everybody should have. Even Genshin's Natlan Archon Quest entire thing was hope, where you shouldn't lose hope. There's one thing that you should not lose, and that is hope. So I hope it will get better, and we'll see. I just hope I can use my E1 Zile again. But still, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me which unit you would like to see getting buffed, and what type of buff would you like that to be. Like maybe Zile's follow-up attack triggers on different criteria, or maybe Blade gets a new feature or something. Tell me something like that. So until then, chill out, farm your relics. I pray you win your 50/50s, because I certainly do not win any of them in my game, especially in Star Rail. I win a lot in Genshin. I don't win 50/50s in Star Rail, but yeah. So once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.